Episode 2. Chapter 1. Jon Conway. Hamilton Island, Washington, Thursday, September 7, 7:07 a.m. Jon splashed cold water on his face in attempt to shake off his exhaustion and cool a raging erection left over from the dream he'd woken from. The last thing Jon needed was to start having sex dreams about Cassidy. Sex dreams about Sarah were normal, regular even. Less frequent than they used to be, but even after a decade removed, she still haunted his dream world. And it was the mornings after those dreams that he woke up missing her most. He still dreamed of everything from slow kisses along Sarah's long neck to the rhythm of their personal pushes and grunts. Mostly, he dreamed of their conversations, whispers and laughter, yelling and promises, every regretted word and syllable left unsaid. Despite the twins looking identical to most, there were always subtle differences that you picked up on when you got to know them. Those differences became more pronounced as Cassidy and Sarah's lives had taken divergent paths, and time had exacted its toll. The pink lines on Cassidy's wrists, the look of defeat in her eyes, the sarcastic curl in her lips. So, when Cassidy played host to Jon's sexual desires in last night's dream, he was shocked to see her. It didn't seem right to think such thoughts about Sarah's sister, as if it would offend the memory of Sarah. Nor did it seem right to Cassidy to project his unresolved feelings for Sarah onto her. Jon woke up hard, guilty, and unwilling to relieve himself. He turned off the faucet and stared in the mirror, more exhausted than he should be, and wondered what it was about the island that made it feel like both home and prison. Perhaps there were too many bad memories here. Every familiar sight, sound, and person served as constant reminders, giving the memories so much more weight on native soil. He left the bathroom and turned on the TV, shuddering at the thought of what he might see, with half his attention aimed at the screen and the other half cast on the room service menu, trying to decide what he wanted for breakfast. Fortunately, there was nothing on the news linking him to Sarah, at least not yet. Just more about the school shooting and the memorial from the day before. Jon tossed the menu on the table, ran his hand through his hair, and sighed, feeling like an asshole for thinking everything on the menu sounded like tired beach-town crap. He didn't want cereal or oatmeal or yogurt or smoothies, nor did he want an omelet, nor pancakes, nor waffles. He wanted almond-crusted French toast made with brioche or challah bread and strawberries. Sure, they'd probably make it for him, but he'd rather just order from the menu than feel like a jerk for the rest of the day for being too demanding. Just order what you want, man. Don't always worry about what everyone thinks. Jon picked up the phone and asked if room service made French toast, even though it wasn't on the menu. The man on the other line said, yes, of course. Jon was glad the man didn't add, anything for you, Mr. Conway. Jon also asked if he could have some strawberries and a small cup of almonds. The man said, of course. Good enough. Jon thanked the man, hung up the phone, and waited for his breakfast, trying hard to remember the dreams he'd had before the sex ones. Whatever the dreams had been, they must have been awful. He vaguely recalled waking up screaming and seeing his covers clear across the room. Growing up on the island, Jon often had nightmares, though he rarely remembered them. The nightmares were usually coupled with exhaustion and headaches, just like he was feeling now. He slept like a baby everywhere else, except it seemed on Hamilton Island. Jon laughed out loud. Sleeping like a baby fit the description of his island sleep more than the sleep he usually got. Babies didn't sleep through the night. They woke up every few hours, often screaming. Jon laughed again, but mid-chuckle thought of the baby who was now 9, and probably his. The dull ache inside him felt like a scream against the silence of the hotel. His fault for wanting a private floor. That was how it had to be. Jon didn't want people tiptoeing around him. That was even worse than public fawning. This was the life he chose, and he wasn't bitching, not even to himself. Jon couldn't count the number of times he'd been out, wanting nothing more than a moment alone, when a fan started freaking out and screaming, drawing attention like bees to a hive. Sometimes people played it cool, coming up to him and starting a regular conversation about everyday stuff. But nearly every exchange was either about his work or Hollywood gossip, and Jon didn't care to talk much about either. Even that was better than the gazes met on the island, where he wasn't just Jon Conway of Darkness Everlasting, but he was also Jon Conway of the Conways. There was a light knock on the door, and then a polite exchange with the attendant as he made a small show of setting the food in the middle of Jon's room. Jon tipped him $20, feeling the usual discomfort, amplified by the island. Jon had never been able to find the just right in his tip. Too little felt wrong, and too much felt arrogant. The French toast looked great. Jon took a look, salivated, and got ready to sit. As he did, the hotel phone rang. "Hello?" A slight pause, then, "Good morning, Mr. Conway. This is Lydia, from downstairs at the front desk. I have a Cassidy Hughes on the line. I tried telling her you weren't here, but she said she knew you were. She sounds rather upset and insists you must speak to her. She said it's either on the phone now or a few minutes from now in person." Jon sighed. "Of course, Lydia," he said. "And thank you." Jon used the pregnant silence to shove a piece of French toast in his mouth, quickly chew, then swallow, just as Cassidy tore onto the line. "What the fuck, asshole?" "Good morning to you too, Cass." Jon sank into the chair and stared off the balcony, out at the sea. He was already exhausted, 4 accusatory words into the conversation. "Don't bullshit me, dickface. What the fuck did you do with Emma?" Jon sat straight up in his chair, then launched to his feet. "What the hell are you talking about?" Maybe 30 seconds of silence, then, "Emma's missing." Jon said, "Are you sure?" Not knowing what to say, turned his words to a stutter. "Of course I'm sure. You think I wanted to call you?" A pause, then, "I saw the way you were looking at Emma. You know, don't you?" Jon felt suddenly wobbly, as though the hard concrete of his world was getting wet beneath his feet. He choked, then said, "She's mine, isn't she?" "Why didn't anyone tell me?" Cassidy sounded surprised. "Wow, you really didn't know?" Jon said, "I thought Sarah left me because I slept with that model." Cassidy snorted. "She was madder than a fucking hatter about that, but that's not why she left." "Then why?" Through gritted teeth he asked, "Did my family have something to do with her leaving me?" "Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to," Cassidy said. "Do you think they took Emma?" "So they do know?" "Like I said, don't ask questions," Cassidy said. Then she added, "I can't talk about it, Jon." But yes, they knew. Jon wanted to scream, wanted to punch something, wanted to drive to the house and beat Warren to within an inch of his life until he spilled everything he knew, everything he had to do with this being kept from him. "Jesus," Jon said. "Do you think they'd take her?" Cassidy asked again. The Conways might do a lot of evil shit, but no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't have any reason, would they? "I don't fucking know," Cassidy whined. "I don't know why they do half the shit they do. All I know is Emma is missing, you're back, and I sure as hell don't believe in coincidences." "I swear to God, I had nothing to do with this," Jon said. "I wasn't even sure Emma was mine until about 2 minutes ago." "You swear?" Cassidy asked, now sobbing on the other end. "I swear," Jon said calmly. "Have you called the police yet?" "No. Vivian told me to call you first." Jon shook his head at the stupidity of that advice. "Listen, Cassidy, call the police right now. I'll call Warren and see if he knows anything, then I'll make some more calls. We will find her, Sarah." A long pause, and then Cassidy said, "You called me Sarah." "Sorry," Jon said. "It's okay," Cassidy said. "I can't stop thinking about her either. I'm gonna call the police now. I'll get back to you in 10 minutes one way or another, and I swear I'm not leaving this island until we find her." After a long pause, Cassidy said, "Okay." Then with audible pain, as though having a tooth pulled, she added, "Thank you," before hanging up. John scrolled through his contacts for his brother's number, and for the first time in his life didn't smile as he pressed the name marked asshole. The phone rang twice, then Warren said, "Oh wow, a celebrity calling me before 8 o'clock in the morning. To what do I owe the honor?" "I'm not in the mood, Warren," John said. "Where is my daughter?" "Your daughter?" Warren said. He couldn't even make his disbelief sound believable. Asshole. "Don't you dare pretend not to know," John growled. "You lie to me right now, I will spend a fucking lifetime making sure you regret it." John could have mentioned any bits of the Conways' dirty laundry, but went with the light touch instead, allowing Warren's fears do most of the intimidation. Warren pissed off John further by laughing again. "You get a scriptwriter to write that for you? And this early? Great delivery, John. Should have put that kind of emotion in your last movie. Now, you want to tell me what the hell you're accusing me of, brother?" "Emma's missing. Where is she?" Warren laughed. "I don't know anything about the kid, but Lord knows that dumb white trash junkie whore can't take care of her. Call the cops. I'm sure it's so open and shut even Barney Fife and his beachside goons will be able to solve it in less than 10 seconds. Hell, Cassidy probably sold her for drug money. If you want, I'll give you the number of the captain of Paladin. I understand you already made quite an impression on them." "Fuck you." John hung up. He stared out the window at the sea, trying to slow his rising anger and breath before calling the one contact in his phone he knew he could turn to at a time like this, Brock Hauser.